Lawrence Tech. Possible is everything.
Number 25, Joe DiGiorgio, Utica Eisenhower. We start the countdown with our winner of our fan vote, Eisenhower's Joe DiGiorgio. Along with his brother John, Ike's Iron Man Joe excelled on both sides of the ball and special teams. This 2001 Dream Team captain garnered nearly 5,000 yards of total offense his last 2 years with 42 touchdowns through the air.
He's as close to Friday Night Lights as you can find. I think the key to his success is that he got all the other players to play for him. He was the leader of the team. He was like a brother. Nobody was going to let him down. And they knew that on any play where he had the ball in his hand, if we called it a pass, it could turn into a run. He'd make a play and make it happen. And so they all played with tremendous confidence because of that.
What he brought to the table was he learned, he was coachable, he executed an offense, made plays on his own, improvised. He was a playmaker and a leader, and that's what made him so unique. And he wasn't, the biggest kid. He wasn't that prototype 6'4", 200. He was just a great athlete who did everything I asked of him and more, and led our team in so many different respects.
DiGiorgio went defense for college as a strong safety for both the University of Buffalo and Saginaw Valley State. Number 24, Damon Dowdell, Detroit Henry Ford. Our first of 6 QBs that went on to play ball at Michigan State, Damon Dowdell was lights out through the air and a speed demon on the ground for Ford. This included a 1999 PSL championship over Cass Tech. Damon's senior campaign saw him throw for over 2,000 yards with 29 touchdowns. He rushed for 600 more yards with 9 more TDs. In just 2 seasons under center, Dowdell rewrote the Trojan record book.
He was probably one of the smoothest passers that I've ever seen. And his passes did not even have to be vertical, deep down the field things that we saw from Matt Baker and guys like that. His fakes, everything he did was so smooth and methodical. He would draw your eyes into him, and then he would dump off a screen pass. He just oozed confidence, and his team played with it.
Damon had phenomenal statistics, backed it up with a lot of wins. You can tell that he received coaching well, and again, just the leadership ability just exuded. I mean, he just was phenomenal as far as leading his team in the right direction and doing the things that is required, to be a successful high school football player.
I think the most important thing I remember about Dowdell was that he knew how to extend the play on that boot. Mike Marshall did this little boot with him all the time, and he knew how to extend the ball all the way right to the edge of the sideline. He either throw it or he step out of bounds, and right there at the edge. And it gave him more life, gave him more length to the play, and he knew how to extend it. And that was something good. That was taught, and I remember that a lot.
Dowdell was a spot starter during his Michigan State career and later found pro success during the inaugural season of the Saginaw Sting in the Continental Indoor Football League, leading them to the 2008 championship. Number 23, Antonio Bass, Jackson. There are a lot of guys who can beat you in a variety of ways on our list. Jackson's Antonio Bass was a 3-sport stud who was considered one of the best athletes to come out of the state in decades. At quarterback, Bass loved to tuck it and run. In his 3 seasons under center for the Vikings, Antonio ran for almost 2,200 yards. His school record 45 touchdowns included 1,000 yards through the air as well. Ranked the 2004 Detroit News #1 blue chip in the state, Bass was also a super prep All-American.
He just ran with abandon and had great speed. I mean, he was a track star, but he had the upper body strength, to shed tacklers too. He was almost a freak out there, the way he was able to play different positions and play them so well.
Antonio chose Michigan, and after freshman year flashes that had Wolverine fans fired up, a freak 2006 spring game injury in which the doctor said looked like Bass had fallen out of a 3-story building straight on his leg, Antonio never laced them up again. Number 22, Jayrone Campbell, Cass Tech. infamous for several incidents his final year of high school that included a suspension and jail time his senior season, it was a performance of Castech's Jayrone Campbell's early years that put this dual-threat dynamo in the countdown. After decades of disappointment, Jayru was a major reason the Technicians' tide turned from being pretenders to contenders. Campbell led the Technicians to back-to-back titles in 2011 and 2012. As a freshman, he set a new final state record with 5 touchdown passes.
I always kid Tom Wilshire, we won the state championship for him by knocking out the first quarterback. So they put Jayru in there and he was outstanding. He actually only played part of the game. I didn't know much of him from that game, but we had seen him in passing league in the next year, and I knew how good of an arm he had. And he obviously led them that year, which is amazing.
When I first met Jayrone Campbell, he was a kid who has a very big heart for competition. He was a kid who didn't like to lose. He wants to win at all. I don't care if it was pitching pennies or who could spell a word right. He wanted to win. He was very competitive. And that competitiveness is what really excelled him at being a great quarterback. I mean, even though fragile at some things, but he overcame them. He became successful no matter what he did, and he just really shined as a freshman because he wanted to win and he wanted to be the best, and he worked hard at being the best. He didn't want anything to be given. Everything had to be earned.
And I actually thought he was an outstanding kid. You know, we used to talk from time to time. He would always be at our field working out, and I think what made him the player that he was on the high school level, and I'm sure still now, was his work ethic. I mean, he would be up on our field when we were in summer school. He'd be out there with 2 or 3 guys just about daily. And, he put the work in, and that's why he was so successful, because of the work ethic that he had.
Jayru worked his way back to a second chance and won the 2016 Junior College National Championship as the quarterback for Garden City CC in Kansas. Campbell is currently finishing his college football career playing for Tony Annese at Ferris State. Number 21, Lloyd Abramson, Birmingham Seaholm. If you don't know who he is, you should. The 6'3", 220-pound Abramson terrorized Oakland County defenses during his high school career. In the old tough Southeast Michigan Conference, Abramson led an offense that outscored its divisional opponents 471-200. An All-American, Abramson threw for 3,600 yards in his career with 35 touchdowns. Abramson was the second highest recruit in the country in 1993.
He kind of put Seaholm on the map. They were a winner every year that he played there, made the playoffs consistently. Technically, he was definitely one of the best quarterbacks, not only of that era, but if you take, film footage of him and present it with some of the other great quarterbacks, he was right there as far as his technical ability.
With powerhouse programs such as Miami and Penn State vying for his services, Abramson chose Northwestern. After earning the starting nod in the spring of '95, just prior to the first practice of the season, Abramson abruptly quit football, stating he was simply burned out. That Northwestern team went on to win the Big Ten and the Rose Bowl.